Absolutely.
All right, I will now be going live, and YouTube is spooling up, and we are now live on YouTube, and I'm handing the meeting over to you.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
of the United States,
to the republic for which it
and
stands,
to the republic for which it's
one nation,
one
under God,
nation,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, as Sergeant Schultz used to say, roll call.
Okay, and remember, I need everybody to let me know where they are zooming in from. Hurst,
Here I am in Pawleys Island, South Carolina. You guys didn't know Paul had an island, did you?
Didn't tell me.
Duff,
Here, Wolverine Lake, Michigan.
Martini,
Here, Wolverine Lake, Michigan.
Sargent,
Here, Detroit, Michigan.
Malik,
Here, Wolverine Lake, Michigan.
Snyder.
Here, Wolverine Lake, Michigan.
All right.
All right, does anybody have any agenda additions besides me? I would like to add under new business website content and also a discussion on the summer newsletter. Any other additions?
I do not have any.
I think we need to have a motion to approve the agenda additions.
Bob Malik here. I'd like to make a motion to add the website discussion and summer newsletter under new business.
I'll second that, Bob. Thank you.
Malik,
Yes.
Hurst,
Yes.
Snyder,
Yes.
Martini,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Sargent.
Yes.
Okay, approval of the minutes as of from last month. Anybody have any objections to the minutes as written?
I didn't. Seemed pretty on point.
Alrighty.
I move we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Snyder,
Yes.
Martini,
Yes.
Hurst,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Malik,
Yes.
Sargent.
Yes.
Okay, call to the public. Is there any public on the line?
It looks like we have one caller on the line, 7374. If you would like to make a public comment, please dial *9 into your phone to raise your hand. One more time, if you'd like to make a comment to the board, please press *9 to raise your hand. It looks like we do not have any questions at this time.
Okay, if the caller wants to unmute, speak, maybe that's the problem, that you're on mute.
Okay.
Yes.
Caller 7374, if you would like to speak, please dial *6 into the phone and I will send a request for you to do so. If you'd like to talk, feel free. Once again, that is *6 to unmute yourself.
Okay, well, welcome to the call. We will proceed. If there is some kind of technical issue, please feel free to jump in later in the call, in the meeting. We're going to move right on to new business. We are pleased to have Chief Ellsworth with us today. Chief, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We invite you every year for a little discussion about the lake and safety and what this board can be doing to enhance the safety, and also your job in enforcing the rules. So I guess I know that the board had a lot of interest in the tragedy we had a month ago now, and would like to give us an overview on that. If you could give us a sort of a summation of how the year's going, what we need to look forward to. And I think we want to talk a little bit about what we can be doing possibly to improve the education on the lake, which would include signage at the launch. But I'll give you the floor first.
Well, thanks to you guys for having me again. I think one of the biggest things is I wanted to talk to you and thank you guys for, I guess, suggesting or encouraging the council to increase the Marine Patrol budget that allowed us to patrol occasionally, even through September. I believe that was a smart move. It was a good move. Everybody seemed to be a little bit off guard, not realizing that we were still going to be out there, which was, I guess, a good thing. We wrote, I know it's not that necessarily our goal to write a lot of tickets out there, but last year Officer Grunwald wrote probably more tickets than we ever have in any other year. I think it was in the 50s, 54, I believe, somewhere around there. It was an incredible number considering that we are limited to basically weekends, holidays, and occasionally during the week in the very hot days. I think he did a really good job. He was very, very busy. To be very frank, people were out of control in some areas last year. A lot of them were people visiting our lake. Probably 90% of the citations written were people that did not live on the lake or live in Wolverine Lake, or even in the immediate area. We were getting a lot of people from Livonia, West Bloomfield, Redford, Garden City, Dearborn Heights. So we do have a lot of visitors, and I know they don't pay attention a lot to our signs. I don't know what more we can do as far as signage goes. We have that big sign there right at the launch. It says our lake rules, and but then again, even after we told them the lake rules, they violated it, and they probably got a citation after the second time of being warned. We're a big proponent for education. We would much rather educate them than write them a citation, and we've done that. We continue to do that. It's unfortunate that we get to this. We also have some people that just feel that the laws don't apply to them. We do have some after hours boating, and that's been a very large topic of discussion on social media. I've tried to explain on several occasions what it took to get into our local administrative rules that allow us to have some local regulation on the lake. We have a pretty large turnover in the last 10 years. Probably 40% of the homes on the lakefront have exchanged hands, which is incredible when you think about it. A lot of people that moved here probably were not aware of all of our lake rules when they moved here. And so now they feel that they should change our lake rules. Having been around this lake for 25 years and worked the Marine Patrol for half of those, I don't necessarily think that's a good idea. I think this gives us, our current rules gives everybody a fair shake at the lake. They can go out and canoe and swim in the morning in somewhat peace. And the same way in the evenings, you can, tool around on a pontoon without worried about getting beat up out there. It seems to work pretty well. That's my opinion, and it's only my opinion. I know that in the past, just so people are aware that may not have been aware, this has been on the ballot a couple of times. Whether to change the rules or not. And we've also had some people, I don't know if many of you folks were around when we asked the DNR to come out and extend the no wake buoys out to the swim hole so that it encompassed the swim hole to make it safer. My concern is if we didn't do that, we would open ourselves up to liability for not enforcing the anchoring 100 feet from shore. They did that. They studied it. They came out and they said, we're not going to do that. We're not going to extend that out there. They said that's still a high-speed boating area and can still be used for a high-speed boating area. There's no reason to do that. Well, they came out on a Wednesday afternoon and it was fairly chilly and they rode around in the boat and they looked at things and they didn't see it on a Sunday afternoon when that area is packed. They chose not to make any, 90% of the people that attended that meeting, and it was packed, and they wanted to change that. The DNR sergeant that was here said, if we change that, we're going to change the entire lake structure. We're going to reevaluate where the no wakes situations are. We are going to remove the time zones that you guys have in place, and you would have to be complying with state law. You would no longer fall under administrative rule. But they said, we are not going to do any of that. We're not going to change anything. So we left things the way they were. We've tried to move the boats back further into the bay so they were not out as far and interfering with any high-speed boating areas. That's kind of the history of that in a nutshell. I don't know if everybody was aware of that, but just so you all are, we've tried to do some adjustments and the state absolutely refuses. They feel that if we're going to do any adjustments at all, they're going to come in and reassess the entire lake. So the safety portion of it, obviously, we've had some tragedies over the last few years. We had one person drowned on the Friday of Labor Day weekend a few years ago. That was actually a careless swimmer. It was a very, very windy day. A storm was blowing in. He had just picked up his dinner, went out on the boat. It was hot. It was 80 some degrees. And he finished his meal and decided he was going to jump in the lake to cool off. He forgot to put in his anchor down, and the boat, when he jumped in, the boat blew away and he couldn't get back to it. He ended up drowning, and that was the first drowning since I was here, and that was very traumatic for many of us. The family has since sold their place on the lake and moved on, but I thought we were, with the boater safety things that we've been doing, I thought we were educating our people pretty good. And then this winter, obviously in January, late January, we had a young man drowned. That was a whole series of events that would have had to happen at the exact right time, and they did. Everything just kind of lined up. It was very snowy, heavy snow. That day we got a couple of inches, but it was snowing. It was almost a blinding snowstorm. He was driving way too fast on the lake and couldn't see probably 75 yards in front of him. And when you're traveling on a snowmobile that fast, it's pretty difficult to make any evasive maneuvers. Well, he came into where there was an open spot in the lake. He probably slowed down, and when he did, he went through the very thinly snow-covered ice. and could not get out. When the first officers arrived, he was clinging to the side of the ice. And by the time he got his rescue disc out, which is a disc that all of us in the lakes area carry, it's almost like a Frisbee with a nylon rope, 100-foot of nylon rope. Very, very useful normally. By the time they got that out of the back of the vehicle and started running towards the lake, he was already under. And the young man, TJ Deptula from Wixom, he's 26 years old. He was under the water, and obviously the Commerce Township Fire Department, as well as Oakland County Sheriff's dive team, were summoned. The fire department were there and in the water within minutes. It took a little bit longer for Commerce or the Oakland County Sheriff's Department dive team to get there, but once they were in the water, they recovered him within 7 or 8 minutes. And it was incredible, but the water was so clear. He was recovered in 22 foot of water. They did send him to the hospital and tried resuscitation efforts, and unfortunately they failed. The father, Mr. Padula, is now become a great advocate for a certain water safety vests to be worn for anybody on the ice. He's actually started an organization to raise funds to purchase those and give those away. He's done that several times to many, many people in our area. So this isn't, his tragedy. He's turning it into something he's much more of an advocate now. But
excuse me, Chief. I
Yes.
see John Padula as being part of this call. Is anybody else? in
no,
there?
that he is actually, I'm sorry. That he is actually, John Padula is it's Deptula.
Okay.
Padula.
All right.
That's where I got that from. Is
All right.
John Padula is actually the guy that runs the
Got it.
runs the show here. So
Okay. Thank you.
it's Deptula, and I apologize for that. TJ Deptula and his father. I was trying to find the father's name, but I can't find it right now. But he's appeared at a Commerce Township board meeting. I think he would be more than willing to come talk to you folks if you wanted him to do that. He might be able to help us in the future for any type of education for water safety, as well as ice safety. On that note, I did see a fisherman out there today.
His name's Tony.
Pardon me?
The guy's dad's name's Tony.
Was that Tony Oliveira?
Tony Deptula. No, that's the.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. But there was a guy out ice fishing today on the water, or on the ice / water. Obviously we have open water out there, and he had his fishing shanty out there, and I was very nervous, believe me, for most of the day, to see somebody out on what is left of the ice out there. So there is a lot of education that could be done. I've always said no ice is safe ice, and I'm very concerned about how things are. All the risks people are seen to be taking recently, and even last summer on the water, people took an awful lot of unneeded risks, and it's very, very difficult to sit back and watch that.
So John, one of the things that we've talked about in a previous meeting was the possibility of just improving the signage at the launch across the board, or not only the rules of the lake, boater safety. We could add some winter event safety as well, something about thin ice and, if it's not patrolled or something. How do you feel about that?
Well, obviously, anytime we can educate somebody, it would be a great thing. The signs that are down there, I will tell you, after a while, they kind of blend in. They look like municipal signs. They look like state park signs, kind of.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't even see them or don't even pay attention to them. So I get that. One of my concerns is if we start, I mean, you guys all know, and I'm just going to bluntly say this, you can't regulate stupidity. You really, I mean, there are a lot of people out there that do a lot of really goofy and crazy things, and it doesn't matter. We write them a ticket. It doesn't matter. There's so many, they do so many silly things. You know, I've seen a lot of things. It's just been incredible. For the general public, I think the signs work. I think they could be a little bit more clear, a little bit better. But for the winter, you know, we don't have any signs down there to address, you know, no ice is safe ice, for example. So is that something we could do? We could probably do that.
If we go down that path, which probably will think seriously about, can you help us with the content, or is there guidelines on content there?
I'd be more
Or is
than
that something?
I'd be more than happy to do that. I know our administrator has obviously a good legal background. He would be another one that I would want to work with to get the right verbiage. One of the things I don't want to see is try to open ourselves up for any type of liability.
Sure.
And that's one of the things that we got to be very careful about on this lake, because like Mr. Hurst, me and you have had this conversation. Wolverine Lake is not our lake. It is the state of Michigan. And we got to be very careful on how we do things on our lake. And we need to make sure we are in compliance with the state laws, as well as, you know, what our agreements are with the state regarding the treatment of the lakes, all the way through to enforcement of the state laws. So I'd be more than happy to sit down with any of you anytime to go over the content, what I think could be there, and, you know, maybe find something that isn't there that could help us.
All right. We'll probably be discussing that in much detail a little bit later.
I got a quick question. So specifically for the kind of ice, you know, no ice is safe ice. I understand that. I understand that we don't want to open ourselves to liability. Are we set on that as the guidance versus any kind of educational thing on types of ice, thickness of ice, anything like that? Or do we want to just keep it super?
I think the problem we're going to have is if we start saying 3 inches of ice is safe for humans, 4 inches are safe for, I don't know, small, you know, shanties or whatever. And, you know, 5 inch, you can't tell me that that's going to be universal across that lake. So if they drill a hole that says that there's 6 inches of ice, and they say, oh, well, I can drive on this. They might go 20 feet and it might be 2 inches of ice, or it might be open water like we had all winter long this year.
Yeah.
I really would hate for us to get into defining what is safe and what isn't, and at what levels is this safe. There are many, the state has even pulled down their stuff that said, this is how much ice you need to support this, because ice varies. Obviously, there's honeycomb ice that is 6 inches. It's not going to hold a man.
Yep.
There's other types of ice that, you know, 3 inches of ice, I could ride a snowmobile on if it's blue ice. I mean, if it's a good thick ice, but at the same time, the ice level changes so much every day. For us, we would have to, you know, monitor that if we were saying this is how much ice is out there. I just don't
think it's more of a live guidance as much as the types of things. I mean, like, I bet you a lot of people don't know that, you know, clear ice and blue ice and frozen snow and stuff like this, they are all different, right? Versus just saying, you know, maybe we don't want to say the level at which it's safe. I can understand that, but maybe just educational on types, or you know, we think even on, I don't know if it changes across the whole lake. Obviously, the ice thickness changes across the whole lake, but is there any consistency, or is it completely random? I don't know, I just wonder if there's any kind of educational things we can provide outside of it's all unsafe.
You know, I think if we're gonna go down that, I think we need to expand it even into the summertime safety. We can do both. I know we kind of reach two different types of clientele, I guess, as it were, when we're talking about water safety versus ice safety. There's two different types of people for each of those sports. Usually outdoors people are outdoors people. However, I get what you're saying. We could, I'm not as educated on the ice portion of it as I am on the lake portion of it as far as enforcement. So I'm not exactly sure where we would go. We could probably call in the DNR and they could come out and teach us all something about ice safety. You know, could we hold a class on it? Sure, we could hold a class on it. Is that something we want to do? If it is, please let me know. I'll try to arrange something. But again, the people that are going to come to those types of things are not going to be the ones that we need to worry about as much as some of the other ones that don't care as much about the education portion of it. But again, it's totally up to you guys. If that's something you want to do, I will definitely pursue it and see if we can't get someone to come put on some sort of a safety class for ice safety.
Well, you know, I see a couple options here. One is signage. The other one is class itself, but also we could put something on our website.
Yeah,
Sure.
Not that that's going to cover everything, but that's at least a step in the right direction.
I find it unlikely that people would participate in a class of any kind, unless it's like a class on how to try and get out of thin ice if you fell through or something, like an actual class. But if
Sure.
it's like an online or classroom scenario, I don't see people participating.
We'll tell you what, John, we'll see if we can figure out some best practices that are going on in the state, and we'll do some research. And it's certainly not something we're going to get to tonight, but in the long run, we probably want to look at this, the big picture of this, and there's probably some guidance and guidelines and other lakes that are doing things that we might be able to learn from. So I guess we'll be getting back to you on that. Okay.
Okay, that's absolutely fine.
One of the questions I had was if we do go signage route, is the state get involved with that as far as paying for it, or is that something comes out of our budget?
That
Our
anytime we
road
put up,
signs. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say any sign that's that we put up, we would obviously have to pay for.
Okay.
We would run the verbiage by them to make sure that we're in compliance with their standards. So, you know, I just my whole thing about being on the ice is again, my view of this is no ice is safe ice, because we don't know what's in front of us, 1 foot in front of the other. I know there's certain risks involved in everything, but for us to take a stand, I think that would be the stand that I would take. But again, the signage, I don't think that's a bad idea. We just have to be careful of the verbiage to make sure we're not opening ourselves up to liability. The signage would have to come from the village, and we would have to get prior approval from the state to install it.
Okay. And as crazy as it may seem, I was actually thinking about if we could get a scrolling digital sign, people would actually pay attention to that. And we can change the message based on the season.
You're right. That's pretty crazy. I don't see that happening at the lakeside. At least now, the way things are, they're so expensive, and
I don't know. I haven't looked at it, but
Yeah.
I know we would get people's attention if we had a
you
digital.
absolutely would, because you would probably be the only lake in the state with a scrolling sign to get their attention. But you're right. That something like that is almost what it takes to hammer it over their head to get their attention for something like that.
Okay, well, you never know until you ask. We'll find out. We'll
Yep.
look into it.
Sure.
I know that they're expensive. I don't know if there's different levels of quality as well. But I thought it would be nice to have something that was variable based on the
Sure.
on the season.
Yep.
We're also going to be getting into talking about our boat washing, and it'd be good to draw people's attention to that as well, because I know they're not reading that sign.
Nope.
So anyway, just a thought. Okay, the other thing I had was on the boater safety classes.
Yes.
Have you thought about doing those virtually?
Right now, the state of Michigan is not allowing their people to put those on, and they are recommending everybody go to the DNR website where you can take the class online. And I have a feeling we're probably going to push that off again this year.
All right.
I do have an employee that teaches boater safety. He's actually was in charge of the Marine Patrol for years for Oakland County Sheriff's Department. And he works for them in the Department of Homeland Security now, so he can't do both. So he is a reserve officer for us. We've had some issues. I don't want to get in too much with it, but it's out of his control currently. But we're working with him, trying to see if there's something we can do again to put on another boater safety the first weekend in June, like we normally do, the first Saturday. I got an email from the village today asking the status, and I've got a call out to him, and we'll figure out something one way or the other. We're going to have to do something. I would hate to go 2 years in a row without a boater safety class.
Yes, and if we can't get it lined up, I think we need to put something on the website or announcement, something about the DNR online course.
Yep, for sure.
Okay. The last thing that I have, John, is do we need to make a motion to council to maintain your hours at 2020 levels, or is that taken care of? Water patrol hours.
I think at this time, I think we're going to be okay.
Okay.
We upped our budget from $7,500 to $10,000 a couple of years ago. We amended the budget 2 years ago, and last year they gave me the full thing. I think we're going to be okay this year. Officer Grunwald, again, I want to say he did a magnificent job. He had a lot of pressure on him. It was a very hot, long summer, and a lot of new boaters. Everybody bought a boat last year, even if they'd never had a boat before. They needed something to do. So the boat salesmen made out like bandits last year. And if you ever
this year already too.
Yeah, this year they're already selling out. So it's going to be another crazy one. I think what we're going to make this, and I want to be fair to the DNR, I really think we need to pressure them or ask them to man that boat launch a little bit more than they have. The majority of our problems come from people who put in from off the lake, and they don't adhere to our rules. They don't understand our rules. They don't think anybody should have to abide by our rules. They want to abide by the state rules. I really think if we had somebody there at the DNR access with a copy of our rules that we have for our lake, hand them out to the people who've never been to our lake before. Also on the back side of that sheet, what I'd like to see is the depth chart, for example, and how our lake is laid out. I used to, back when, I don't know if does anybody remember the boater safety fair that I started back in the early 2000s?
Wasn't around.
I had a thing called the Boater Safety Fair. What we did is during the week of Boat Week, which is the third week in May, I believe, we would hold a what I called an educational safety fair at our access. We brought in the fire department to show how the difference between watercraft fire extinguishers and regular fire extinguishers, and the need for the watercraft fire extinguishers rather than just a regular fire extinguisher. We brought in, examples of how far 100 feet is. You'd be surprised at how many people don't know how far 100 feet is and how far you're supposed to stay away from somebody. So we had all these little educational booths set up all around. We had pretty close to 30 different displays around. It was pretty neat. Different types of life jackets. People don't realize the type of life jacket they need to ride a jet ski. It's different than the regular vest that they wear. A lot of people don't realize that. Kids under 6, they all need a type 3 life jacket. That's one with the loop on the back. It's not, I'm sorry, type 2. So and that, they have the loop. These types of things people don't understand. They don't realize. So we use that time to educate them before they got on the lake. Actually, in 2004, I won an award for the National Water Safety Congress for that boater safety fair that we used to put on. And it was very well attended. We had over 400 people down at the access wandering around down there, but they were all educated about the lake prior to them going out on the lake. And that was always my goal, is to educate them before they got on the lake. And we had to educate them with a citation instead. So
what happened to that?
That kind of went away when Parks and Rec took it over and the next couple of years. And
Parks and Rec? No?
What's that?
I was saying, do we have Parks and Rec representation here? No.
No, probably not. But and the most people that are Parks and Rec now were not on it then. And it was, they wanted to take part in it. And I understood that because they really felt that it should be under the Parks and Rec. The Water Board took part in it too, I believe, at the time. Jim Donahue, remember him?
Oh, yeah.
He was a big part of that. He brought in some students from MSU and they built an aquifer. And it was really neat to see how things work in the lakes and in the streams and stuff. And it was quite an experience. And so would I see something like that back? Maybe to a limited extent, sure. I think it would be a good thing, but it got pretty big, pretty fast, and it was quite an undertaking. So,
John, also Bob Malik here. If you remember years past, the Spring Lake Heights used to have, when they had now they have the bike parade and things, they used to have the police boat come into the beach area, talk to the young children and all about boater safety and water safety. And, the local subdivisions, I think, would be wise to look into that. Mm-hmm. But again, it's something they have to promote on their own. So.
Right. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be village-wide. It could be, subdivision. It could be any of those things. So.
John, what's it take to get that going again?
Oh, it's going to be a lot of planning. I think I'll have to dig through my records and see if I've got, because I actually had to do a plan of action, and it was quite in depth, actually. And like I say, I involved the sheriff's department. They brought out the airboat. We actually had a skiing, trick skiing demonstration out there in the lake. It was really cool. There was a lot of cool stuff to do. It's a lot of work. It's not going to happen this year. I can almost guarantee.
Right.
But in years to come, it's something that maybe the water board, along with the park and rec and the police department, maybe we can all pitch in a couple of people as advisors for this, and we can start delegating some of these things to get set up. I think it would be well worth it to educate them prior to being on the lake. That's always been my goal.
And what did you call it again? A boater's fair?
Boater safety fair.
Boater safety fair. And you held it when?
I believe it was the third week in May. You can find out, they actually have a boater safety week. And that's one of the times we did it.
All right. Well, I'm sure with all the COVID stuff going on this year, it won't be able to anywhere near getting it pulled off, but I think it's something we need to look into. We have been talking to Parks and Rec about doing some joint efforts anyway. So I'll get back to them on that, but if you're up for it, I think that we need to pursue it.
I have just a person for that.
Okay.
He's been
Well, I'll get back to you on that, all right?
told.
All right, I'll get back to you on that, all right? So, I personally think it's a good idea, and, I'll discuss it with the board here in a minute, and we'll decide if it's something that we want to pursue for 2021 or 2022, which, by the way, is the 100th anniversary of the lake actually getting a name. So,
Oh, there you go.
yeah, trying to find something to do on the 100th year. So, anyway, does anybody have anything else for the chief besides me?
Yeah, I do. Bob Malik. How about a big thank you, Chief?
Thank you, Bob.
Yes, John, thank you.
It's really appreciated the time and effort you put in, to helping the people, plus us board members and, council also. It's appreciated.
Well,
At
that's what
least it is on my side.
that's what I'm here for, and I appreciate the opportunity to, I don't want to see you guys spin your wheels. I don't want to see start down a track that we can't finish, I guess. I want to make sure we all stay on the same page. While I'm here, I'm going to ask you, because I know a few of you live on the lake. Is there anything we can be doing better than what we're currently doing? Obviously, we're limited in the amount of time we're able to spend on the lake, but is there something that you see that we can be doing better?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think that the no wake violators were down from last year, but they're probably too busy out in the middle of the lake doing other things. So, but from my end, I appreciate your officers being out there. They seem to have gotten effective in policing that part of it up. I do have a question about noise ordinance. I believe you and I discussed this before, and I've actually called it in, but that's the proper thing to do. If there's a violation like noise or no wake, call the
I'm kind of glad you brought that up. Actually, what I'm going to do is get a form built for our website where someone can actually just go on the website and they can fill out a complaint form with the voter's information. If they got the MC number and color description of the driver or operator, and they can submit that, and it will come directly to the police department. Or if they can get an MC number, write it down and call us immediately. But I know sometimes that's not possible. But if you guys think you have an issue with a particular boat, would love to be able to have a chat with them. We don't necessarily need to write tickets. Sometimes all it takes is for us to have a little chat with them. And we're more than willing to do that.
All right. Well, again, thank you very much, John. Appreciate you coming in and filling us in. When we go down this education and signage path, we'll fully coordinate that with you in the village, because I know that there's a lot of rules there, and we certainly don't want to be spinning our wheels. And I'm going to put a GoFundMe page up for my digital sign. Okay.
That would be good. If you could arrange that, that would be wonderful.
Okay, does anybody have anything else? Well, again, thank you very much, John, Chief. Appreciate it. You and your force do a great job for the lake, and I'm sure the board agrees with me that we really appreciate what you're doing for us.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Right.
Appreciate the opportunity to come talk to you.
All right, thank you, John.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Not a problem. Thank you, guys. If there's nothing else, I'll be on my way. I get to start my meetings at 7:30 in the morning. So
There you go.
All right.
Thank you, Chief.
have a good night, guys.
Good night.
Okay, Second item on new business is the website content. I don't know if you guys had a chance to think about what's out there on the website and what we need, if there's any desire to change things. I think we can leverage our website a lot more than we do. For instance, we could probably put something in there about safety, water and frozen water and water safety. I know,
I mean,
Paul, your work.
is it me or are half the pages basically blank with broken links?
No, it's not you. Two of them don't have anything, I know. One of the ones.
Who physically codes the website or manages and actually has ownership over the content?
I think it's Tabitha, and it's at the village, and that's okay. I think that Paul probably can give us an idea how they handle things, because he's working with her on his SAD piece. But right, they're probably wide open for us as long as we go through them and
I can't speak to their technical expertise. She did walk me through what she thought would be a good process for us getting the information up. But yeah, there's the links and stuff. I haven't checked them all to see what would be working, but yeah, if that's a problem, we probably need to address that before we get people frustrated looking for more stuff that they can't get to.
I just think they're not populated. I just don't think there's anything there.
Do we have a company that we work with for the website development? Like, how we just revamped it not that long ago. Like, we were talking about having, a map that somebody could interact with and see where all the road endings are, or however we want to do it. We probably will need some kind of pay for a service that labels and interactively displays a map of the lake that people could interact with. Like that's something we would probably have to pay somebody to do. Do we have a company we work with?
Is there anything noted on the website? Is there any managed by? I assume you're looking at it right now.
No, I mean, it just says, Wolverine powered by Revise, the government website experts.
Wow.
We'll tell you what, Paul, since you're already in there.
Yeah. Okay.
Would you mind, you know where we want to go with this. We want to up our content.
Yeah.
And probably even add some tabs. Okay.
Yeah.
I think a glaring one is just on safety. I think we can add a lot more content in the waterfowl. We do this boat count, this waterfowl count. We might as well publish it on there. Just things like that. So if you don't mind, can you, when you're in there doing your sad sack thing, if you could see what it takes.
Not a problem.
And then because I would like to, I think it's a good tool for us. And I'm not a social media guy, but I certainly think that if we add a lot of stuff to the website and links to education as well, I think we can get a little bit more content and use out of it. Okay.
Yep.
You good with that?
I am.
All right. So the other thing that I added on new business was the summer newsletter. Does anybody have any burning desire to put content? Paul, this is probably perfect for you.
The SAD's got to go in the newsletter, right?
Oh yeah. Did she get? I kind of glanced at the notes. She give a drop dead date on content.
There's one on there.
Next month.
Next month, I'll have something. I'll have something before you guys by next week.
All right. Yeah. Anything else besides the sewer SAD? Anybody have any burning desire to put anything else up?
Can we have a complete recap of the aeration project?
You gonna put that in the newsletter?
Sure. No, I am not.
Because if you can condense it down to something that's understandable, it'd be great. I would learn.
No, I really can't. I've been on this board. I can't remember how many years, and I still don't understand it. So
Okay, well, I think that if we put this summer news, put the SAT in there on the summer newsletter, that's great. I also think as the year goes by, we can probably get on that banner on the website anyway if we have something that we want to post up. So I don't think that's too difficult as well. So, but for the summer newsletter, if Paul, if you'll, I'm sure whatever you've got, you've already got most of it, just tailor it to a newsletter kind of thing, and we'll add it. We can get it added. Okay. Anybody have any other new business? All right, then we're going to move on to the administration report. The lake level is 916.75. We are down 18¼ inches from normal, whatever normal is, especially in this year. But yes, we're down probably right where we need to be as far as the winter goes. I don't know of any noteworthy complaints to the village. So anything on social media that we need to know about besides the
Just people calling out people that are on the lake when the ice is thin.
Well, I also noticed a lot of comments. I've only been lived on the lake for a few years, but on social media, I've noticed an awful lot of comments about how the water seems unusual.
People say the ice is unusual. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I mean, I'm not a risk taker. I'm very risk averse, but the wife and I went to take just a little walk after a week of it being less than 20 degrees. And we still went through the snow, and it started to do the mush and the pooling. And it's like, yeah. I ran off and told her I'd come and get help. But
under the snow is always that way, right? The sun melts the snow goes down on top of the ice. You basically get a water sandwich between the snow and the ice. And then the snow itself freezes, so it gets crusty. But if you break through the snow, you end up on a puddle of water. It's concerning. It does that. We've had, it's been a weird year, I think, for sure. But I at least back on the areas that I've went in, it's the snow melting, right? Water accumulating on top of the ice, right? And then sometimes you get the water accumulate, and then you get ice to form on top of that. So you have ice, water, and then more ice. I've been out here trying to fix my hockey rink and stuff like this, so I spend a lot of time out there.
Yeah.
I've drilled a lot of holes this year, and it's that same thing. You drill through 2 inches of ice, and then water comes up, and the auger drops down. You drop down 2-3 inches, and then you could drill another 6 inches past that. My God. And it's like a floating sheet of ice on top of water, on top of thick sheet of ice with snow on top of that. Like it's a weird. And then, I got to the end of my rink. And, I drill out there, and under that top 2 inches of ice, there wasn't 6 inches of ice and water underneath there. It was just that, right? Wow. So it's like super, it's been very inconsistent. And that's just all within, I would say 300 feet.
Jesus.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's any like scientific or technical way to assess this. So, other than it just being the weather pattern that we've had. I'm not sure what much can be done about it.
There's not a
drill a hole every couple feet when you're walking and see what it is you're standing on. Really the only way to do it.
I'm not aware of any scientific way to find out.
Yeah, and be comfortable having wet feet.
Sonar depth, radar, run little ground radars over it, maybe, but
I'm not kidding. When we build a rink out here, we get the snow off of it, and then basically, if you clear snow, it's becomes like a river, right? It's now a low spot, right? All the water from under the snow rushes towards it, and you could be up well past your ankles in water, on top of 6 and 7 inches of ice.
Jeez.
Well, and I think that this probably goes along with if we can get some content on the website on safety, maybe even get something on the banner at certain times of the year for both boater and ice safety. Was there anything else on social media besides the weirdness in the ice?
Not lake related.
No,
Okay. All right.
Not till the weeds come back.
Okay.
yeah,
We're
right.
not going to let that happen this year, right? So that's we're down to my report. Due outs from last meeting, or the and they're coming up in the agenda would be clean boats, clean water, Huron River watershed, and then the SAD. But then those are all being well managed. I'll talk about erosion when I get down to the bottom there as well. I think that's what I've got as far as my report. So we're going to move on to continuing business, and first up is the sewer SAD.
Yeah, Paul, how do you want us to do this? You want us to like comment on that Word document, or I guess when are you expecting to get that up?
Well,
what's the deadline here?
let me give you a couple caveats, and then yeah, I need comments. The approach I took was thinking that, I mean, I've got page after page of different types of data, depending on which direction people are going to be curious about. They're curious about the cost. They're curious about the equipment. They're curious about, do they have to, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. So I tried to bullet point different aspects so that I just want to catch their eye. Now you're on the website, you, speaking with Tabitha, it will be those things that scroll across the bottom, the event type things. We'll have one of those. She suggested, I didn't say yes or no, that a grinder pump head or a grinder pump cover might be a visual, so to give the people a notion as to what that's about. There's all sorts of different pieces of information and links that we can go to. So if we have this on a page, they can hit more information on what the special assessment is, why it's a good thing to do, where the equipment goes, who pays for what, all that stuff.
Who physically puts it? Who physically is like formatting it on the website and putting the link?
Tabitha does.
Tabitha, she's in there like in WordPress or some kind of thing that she's using, or she's
Yeah, from I don't know what software, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, she's the one they had me talk through. Now, all this stuff, no matter what we do, is going to have to go in front of council for them to approve before it goes on the website, which is fine. Some of this stuff.
Can we do that like for a council meeting next week?
Yeah, we can, if we do whatever we want to do to this document today, I'll make the changes.
I just don't want everything to take 1 month increments.
Oh, no,
Be in December.
no. Matter of fact, if the board approves it and it goes up, my suggestion will be is let it stay up on the website for a month maybe. And then I start walking the neighborhoods with petitions.
Yeah. I'll start slinging it around online and make sure we get people's names. And so
Yeah.
Tell me about the petition. Did you ask about that? I know in this document it says you physically have to go to City Hall. If you walk around with the petition, can you get signatures that way, or are you walking around?
That's
knocking
what
on
she
doors, say,
said
"Go to the
before,
hall"?
yeah. No, I didn't ask about the COVID restrictions. I'm happy to wear a mask. I am assuming that we still can do some of that. It's not stopping window salesmen from banging around the place, so.
Yeah, but can we actually collect the signature and that's valid, or do they physically still have to go to the hall and sign the paper?
No, I think we can physically do it. They notarize it once we turn the signatures in. But yeah, they were saying, I think before there were people doing the door-to-door thing. I'll find that out for sure, but that's my hope, is to drum up business that way.
Mhm.
Also, another piece that I haven't had a chance to incorporate here, the state of Michigan is relooking at legislation that died when COVID started. It was a bipartisan effort to begin to start taking a look at sewer systems, or not sewer systems, septic systems. And They're looking at higher inspection requirements, more periodic stuff. So it's going to cost more money for people to continue to maintain their septic system. The other dollars and cents thing, and this was just for my edification, was that the people that have hooked up to the system yet haven't begun using it begin paying for it as soon as the thing goes through. The thing they avoid paying for is the monthly sewerage bill that you get from the county for operating the sewer system. But so I took that question out of the ones that I had. But, I mean, that's information we can give them.
Paul, I want to get back to the process here. Do we?
Okay.
We have to make a motion every time to council, every time you want to do something? Or can we just, can you go to the village and rock on?
Well, I don't think they give Tabitha the authority, or maybe David has it. Or maybe there's a quicker process. They can find that
could get
out now.
approval that we're going to try and run this and have information out there, and this is the types of information. And like, if we need to update a link on the website, I sure as hell hope we don't have to go to council and ask for an approval of that.
I don't know. Actually, after the initial push, I think they're the ones that are going to take over how the information's doled out. They'll change the website based on a frequently asked question thing. People will be able to ask questions, and then they'll add that to the, once people start asking things, they'll add them to the website.
Yeah. So technically, it is a village. It's a village. Thing, it's not a board thing. We
Right.
are in support of them.
Yes.
Council's already approved this effort, so
Yes.
I don't know. I don't think we need to go. I don't think you need to go in there, or we need to go to the council every month with the latest, greatest.
No.
Bob, do you have anything to say about that? I don't think that I think that, Paul providing support to the village administration is, as long as we do everything through the village. I mean, we're not going to run off the rails here and do anything.
You put the thing together and you present it, okay, because the village has to go out to get the loan if it's there to be had, if you have enough people, okay? So you have to do all this other legwork prior to.
Right.
And I can agree with, I think it was Ryan made mention about having to go to the village every month. If we've initiated, and the village said, I believe it was our last council meeting, that the water board and the village is working on a SAD for the sewers. So if you get the people, you present it, they got to have, what is it, the 30 people that want it to go after the bid, for the interest.
Right.
I mean, unless you get out and do it, it's not going to happen. You can go to us as council people every month, but it doesn't progress if you haven't made the initiative, or haven't created the initiative to have the 30 people you need.
So where do we leave?
Because they're not going to go out for a loan.
Yeah, where do we leave with the actual information session? Because I think we're going to drum up some. I think we could get this information together. Let's get something together for the website. Get it to council and say we want to add this to the website. We could do that this week. We could try and drum up interest. But obviously, the information session is important to drum up interest as well.
And
what's the status of that?
Well, when we were discussing it last month, the council felt that it was premature. That's okay. We need to keep driving to get to the point where it's not premature. And I think that these first steps are what we need to do. So,
well, I actually had a meeting with my other board that Brian sits on, and I think we really have the enthusiastic support of a lot of the other boards, not only the council, but the planning commission people. Brian Nedrow was on there, and they were all enthusiastic about moving forward with the SAD. And I really would like to, I think the sequence is we provide the signature, we get the signatures come in, and once we cap the 30, we have our first information meeting.
But you don't think the information session is a precursor to getting the 30th? I think we put information on the website, we drum up a bunch of signatures, it's sub 30. We have the information session, and that should bring in additional. Of course, if we get 30, that'd be great, but I don't see 30 signatures as a prerequisite for an information session.
I think the reason they do that though is because everybody on the signatories have until after the first public hearing over it to withdraw their signature. At the second meeting, any signatures that are on that are locked in, period.
Right.
So that means you're going to have petitioners that don't get a chance to go, somebody told me, hey, this is going to be a great thing, and I signed up for it. So then we have the information meeting. I tell my neighbor, hey, there's this great thing. I didn't know about it. Great. Here, sign up. He signs up. As soon as the second information meeting starts, if there's something in that information that he doesn't like, he can't take his signature off at that time. So that's why I think they do it the way they do. We have the 30 signatures, and anybody that's signed up can at that point say, no, I don't want to do this anymore.
But do they give us, do you have a template or a form? If you're saying, okay, we're going to put information on the website, we're going to collect some signatures, and the signatures are going to say, I'm interested in more information?
No, it's going to say I'm signed up. But the thing is legally they have until that second public hearing to pull their names.
I don't see how people are going to sign up before they have a formal information session.
Well,
They can sign up and
that's,
say, I'm interested. That
That's-
could be a precursor for kicking off a meeting. And then they could say, okay, I'm still interested.
I understand your thought process. I'm just telling you what they said is the legal process.
right. I believe what happens is once you get to 30, then the village can go out and find out the interest rates, what the length of the loan is, and the whole ball of wax, so they can present it to the people at that point. That's where they make their choice. And I'm just off the wall. If it's 2% or if it's 6%, okay? We don't know that until we can apply for it.
But that happens at the first information session or the second?
And that happens after you get the 30 people that are
Yeah.
interested.
Yeah, okay, so
And
Paul,
then you can
maybe
apply.
I've misunderstood. I thought it was, and maybe you have later information, it was get people interested, have the information session, collect your 30 signatures. They come to the second information session, they find out if the interest rate is good and everybody's happy with it. At that point, they can withdraw or not. It sounds like that's not the way it works.
No. Actually, there's a thing, and I thought I got it to everybody. Because
There's a process.
There's a copy of the petition. And on the front of the petition, it goes through those steps. First step is to sign a petition. Second, 30 households must sign. Village hall, that kind of thing.
So presumably at the first information session, they already have the loan information
Yep.
already.
Well, they don't know if they have the loan information, but let's see.
Well, certainly if
you
you're
have
saying
a-
people are locked in after the first information session, they must have the loan information there.
Could be.
Can you have not call it an informational meeting, but an informational meeting where people can come and find out about it and sign the petition?
I suppose we could do it any way we want to. Yeah. Again, with COVID, I'm guessing that there's going to be some frowned upon method if we're trying to gather a bunch of folks together in one spot. But
Well,
We just
meeting
can't do it
these days is
virtual.
many things.
Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
yeah, you can't sign a petition on a Zoom meeting, though. I see what you're saying, but the thing is hopefully the website is going to give enough information for people to decide, yeah, this is something that looks like I want to go forward with it. The first information meeting is going to be, well, let me get into some of the minutia that, oh, I didn't realize I had to start paying right away, or whatever that makes me decide I want to drop the ball. Or I've decided to sell my house and I don't care if we're hooked up to a sewer system at the
All
time.
right, so can you send me whatever that information is that you were just holding up? You've already
Yeah.
sent it, or maybe I misplaced it?
I thought I did, but perhaps I didn't. It was, yeah, I thought we got it in one of our packages, but I'll send it to you. It's the Village of Wolverine Lake sanitary
Certainly.
sewer hookups, options and steps on the petition.
Certainly the steps or the copy of the petition also needs to be on the website then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And, oh, and the other thing I wanted to tell you, I talked, the other thing Tabitha's gonna do is she's going to remove any indicator on whether or not somebody's hooked up or in waiting or not hooked up. She's just gonna make an eligibility map.
Yes,
Just here's, if you live in this area, whether, and there won't be a designation as to whether or not you're already hooked up.
We need to know who's hooked up so we know what doors to knock on.
Yes,
Not waste
we'll
our
have
time.
that information, but it won't be out there on, on the public thing. It'll
I
just
think
post-
that's
It is
wise.
public information, but yeah, whatever they want to do, as long as we have the information so we know where to knock on the doors.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll be able to have street addresses and all that stuff for the door knocking. Take heart, there's only like 454 houses that are not hooked up and yet eligible.
Hmm. So there's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah,
There
it's
is.
less than 10% and we're good.
So bottom line is, we're on the right path according to the village.
Yep.
What else do you need from us, Paul?
Well, I sent you the one document with the information. I think that's enough. From my perspective, if there are deeper links on the website that give them more information. And there will be, for instance, on the one part where I had quoted, the thing about rural Michigan, Michigan Water Stewardship Program website. We can link right to that. So, I mean, for that, for the petition, for all the other things, instead of having somebody have to wade through page after page, there'll be direct links to here's what your sewer looks like. Here's how it gets hooked up. Here's who does what. That's all in a deeper thing. They'll all be provided through links.
Okay, so
So-
do you need a deadline on inputs?
Well, if we want to get it before council, if you guys can take a look at the verbiage, if there's something that you think needs to change, that's great. I'm sure the title, it won't be the WMB sewer sad. The one thing they already had me change was, I'd put down it was the goal of the Water Management Board. And they said, make sure it says the village and the Water Management Board. So, those kinds of things.
So
If you
what's
think-
the mechanism to get it in front of council? Do we make a motion? Are you gonna call in, you're gonna get on the meeting? Is Bob gonna carry it forward? How do we do that?
Actually,
Through the
protocol.
administrator,
Huh?
through the administrator?
We could get it. I could check with David
All right,
This should
and
not be a
say, hey,
motion.
huh?
I said, this should not be a motion.
okay. Well,
No,
I
think
just
it's an
and a
ongoing.
mechanism to get it in front of the council, so we don't spend another month figuring that out.
We have a drop dead time when you guys are gonna be able to look at this, get stuff back to me.
I literally just put it on my I blocked an hour of my work day to do it, so.
You're the
I'll
man.
do it tomorrow.
All right,
Good.
well,
That's hard to come by, trust me.
I'll bet.
I'm not much of a wordsmith. I like what I saw, so
Okay,
as far as my input is, go with it.
thank you. And I'll
Um,
put together the thing for the newsletter.
Okay. Anything else on the SAD? Okay,
That I could think of.
now that we've had our canal study done, where are we going with the information that we got?
I thought last time weren't we supposed to have a motion about getting the pump house fixed and these other things? But that's what we had said. We were gonna put a motion together to pass this meeting.
Does anybody want to start writing one up while we get through this and we can get back to that? I failed to do that, so.
Let me see what we have there.
Mike, let me say something. The council had a work session, okay, a week ago. And the pump house was one of the items that was brought up on goal setting, okay? To get it brought up to snuff so it can be totally operable. You know, they've done work on the other two, I believe, already. But that was one of the conversations that in the goal setting process for the year coming up.
Okay, so
Helpful.
so we don't have to do something, or do we, or can you
Well,
just
well,
carry
I
the water forward and say we're all for it?
Well, that's one of the things, you know, like the water board puts suggestions to the council for people, you know, somebody you want to nominate or you want to spend a lot of dollars and things. I would send it to council with the water board is looking for council's approval or recommendations, or however you want to state it, of the additional pump house. You know, what's the council and the village going to do?
Yeah, so,
You know, by terms of the water board, okay?
yeah,
That's
so
one of the recommendations.
the minutes from last time was saying that we were gonna put a recommendation for using C-Clear and the pump augmentation as the first steps to clear sediment from the canal. The C-Clear, though, I don't think that's actually something we need a motion on, because that was the change in chemical that's within the budget. So I don't think that's anything that requires a motion
Okay.
to the council, right? So we probably would want to just put a motion together for recommending addressing the augmentation pump house at whichever the pump house is. I have to look up what the name of it is. I can't remember what that one was called.
I don't know, is that if it's the,
It's the
Is it the-
Helmsford.
Helmsford.
Helms-
Pump House. That's it.
Helmsford.
Helmsford Pump House.
Doesn't the water board have control over the pumps?
Not to my knowledge.
We don't have
No.
control over anything. We
Well, I
regulate-
understand that, but as far as we can decide when to turn them on and when to turn them off.
no, you can make recommendations.
I never heard that.
Okay.
I would imagine we'd want to, you know, at least based on Paul's feedback, he basically made it sound like they wouldn't have to run that much or that long, but at a reasonable frequency or something. So I would think that we would want to just state in the motion that the intent is to use it as part of the mitigation strategy for the muck accumulation in the canal, and we want to be able to recommend some frequency at which it runs. It's not strictly for maintaining lake level, right? It's not strictly, we're trying to utilize it as a different mechanism, right?
All right.
Ryan, they did measure water flow when the pump was on a few years ago. 2 of the council members did. And because of the diameter of the pipe or where it sits, they could not measure any
Yeah.
water flow, right?
Part of this was also, Paul last week was talking about changing the orientation of the outlet and changing the direction of the outlet to try and improve the water flow. So I think part of it.
Right. I just want to make sure you guys remembered that so that we could get that in place or request that we make that improvement.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to start typing.
You're gonna write one up for us?
I'm going to start typing right now.
You're the man. We'll get back to you on that, all right?
Okay. Okay.
Make sure we're covered. All right, so while you're working on that, we'll move on to aeration. I guess they're kind of related. My last recollection is that we want to eventually get everything out of the lake that's in the lake. I started looking at something online that's called a water cannon. And I think it's called a water cannon, but it's literally using forced air to make water flow. And I'm wondering that might be a repurposing of our aeration equipment down the road. If we could develop something like that would literally use the air to make the water flow. So I think that's something that's in range down the road. But right now, I don't see us getting back into the aeration business as we were set up before. I had thought that maybe we would think about doing aeration in the canal, but it doesn't sound like, to me, like that was really a viable option or useful option. So
No, it didn't sound like it, that's for sure.
so when it comes to aeration, I guess that somewhere down the road, it doesn't have to be today, we need to get the equipment pulled that's in the lake and maybe repurpose it down the line. Anybody have any other comments about aeration?
I would just like to say that as much as it was a problem for everyone, some people did say it did good in terms of some of the algae growth in certain areas, and I wouldn't be opposed to looking at the parts of the lake that have high algae growth. I mean, it's obviously something much
Okay.
Years down
How
the
do we
road.
do that?
Because
I would agree with that, but do we know where those high algae areas are? Or do those move about depending upon the year and that kind of stuff?
I know 3 based on residents that have tracked it over the years. And one of them was right where the aerators were, and they were very happy with the improvement that aerator made at that end. And then when we turned it off, it went back.
Okay.
So it's just a thought. And obviously with everything going on, I know the DNR suspended some of their programs, right? It's much harder to get things done, probably for at least another year or 2.
So is this something we need to table for down the road, Kathy? Is that what you're
I would
saying?
table it, but if I would still have us maybe do some background work occasionally and think about it, right? There's nothing you can really do right now other than, double checking the website for what's required, pulling the equipment, checking to see if we need different equipment, things like that. If we were to move them, what that would require, just getting our ducks in a row before you present anything.
Okay, I think one of the things we can do is we can see if Paul's got any mapping on algae from the past, and also we can ask him to map the algae this year to give us some data.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt.
I'll try to remember to get that off to him. I am actually on vacation, so you guys gotta cut me some slack here. Okay, so I'll get with Paul on mapping algae and see if we can get any kind of history there. And maybe that does make sense. If there's if we have a useful reason to use our aeration equipment, that'd be great. So, any other comments on aeration? Well, good news. Guess what got delivered to the village today? Our
Transponders.
Our transponder system got there.
Right.
So Ryan, did you have
So
that?
I called into that, it was basically a waste of time.
Okay, great.
We had far more information. It was essentially, I would say, a watered down version of what they came into this meeting and presented, right? It was essentially a repackaging of the same information.
Sorry to waste
Not
your
anything.
time, man.
Yeah, it was not anything based on how it should be installed or anything of this matter. So.
Okay, the transponders are in.
Yeah. Okay.
They've asked me if we want to go look at them. Are you want to?
Yeah, I can poke around. I imagine they're not going to go in anytime soon with the ice, but maybe it's defrosted soon. We got to figure out how we're going to get power out there, where we're going to install it, all that. So,
All right.
I can poke around.
So I'll let David know that you're going to be representing the board when it comes to the transponder system and,
Yeah, I mean, do we have like at least on the board, a time of when we think we need those things in by or something like this? I figure ice is gonna melt come, it should be in by May, I would think.
I think that the sooner we can get it in, the better, because there's obviously maybe some launch issues anyway.
Yeah,
I'm also gonna hope, I think we need to depend on you to help link up to the website too.
yeah,
All right,
that's fine.
okay.
Hey, not for nothing. I'm sure I fell asleep during this part of the presentation talking about the transponders, but it occurs to me it's probably something, because I saw the harvester discussion is next. And it's going to have to be in a spot where we're not going to harvest it or smack it with a boat propeller.
It's actually covered in a tube.
Yeah.
I guess
and
you
we're
could
gonna-
probably
I would
get
imagine
to it.
since we're getting it for essentially, we making sure the dam is in good shape and making sure that the water, I was thinking it's gonna come out over by the dam.
That's where I was
Can't do
thinking.
Anyway.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
All
then the
right.
harvester can't get there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was imagining it's gonna go in probably maybe around the deepest part out here. And it would prevent it from freezing and be close to the dam and not have harvester damage and blah, 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 low boat traffic and.
Right. Right.
But,
Okay.
yeah.
It's gotta be close to wherever we can get, I can't remember, is it solar powered? Did we?
It's got solar power. It also has 110 if we want to use it.
And that's south facing, if we install it over by the dam, right, it's south facing, it should be able to get sun.
Yeah.
I would think
Okay.
out here is probably better.
So I guess, Ryan, you can work with the village and probably our,
Yeah, just tell me who it is that I need to work with.
I'd start with David, and then probably you'll end up with Andy, and as far as the install goes, I'm sure they need to be part of that.
Okay,
And I don't think it's rocket science, but if you need any help with it, I'm very interested in, when we get to the assembly part, and I'd like to be involved too. So let me know what's up. All right.
okay. So I wrote up something that looks like a motion if we want to look at it.
Go for it.
Let's do this.
Where's, are you gonna post it? You're gonna put it up on oh, there we go.
All right, what does this look like? I said, make a motion, Water Management Board makes a motion for the council to bring the Houseburg pump house back to an operational state. The augmentation pump will be used to increase water flow in the canal and help address the muck accumulation. As part of the refurbishing of the pump, for the advice of Progressive AE, the Water Management Board recommends an investigation into the modification of the pump outlet to increase water flow in the canal, including modification of the size and orientation of the outlet. The Water Management Board and Progressive AE would like input into the pump runtime and scheduling as a muck mitigation strategy.
I'll second that motion.
Yeah, I can't, there's no way to approve that.
And Hannah, can you see this? You take a picture of it?
Yep, I just took a screenshot.
Great. All
Perfect.
right. So we need a roll call.
Martini,
Aye.
Hurst,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Sargent,
Yes.
Snyder,
Yes.
Malik,
Yes.
All righty.
Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan. Well stated.
Yep.
Brian, just link up with Dave on transponders and, let me know what's up, because I live right down the street too, so
Okay.
I would like to be involved, and I don't know if anybody else is interested or not, but I'm certainly a gadget guy. So. On to harvester. I guess we probably have not much to talk about harvester right now. Ryan, no?
No, I got nothing.
Okay, on Lake Erosion, I've been in contact with village administrator. There's something going on around the Shankford, Shanken
Hey,
culvert.
actually, if I interrupt you for 1 second, harvester.
Go ahead. Yeah.
You made mention of maybe losing the harvester operator. Do you have insight onto that? And do we need to
He's
be finding a
graduating.
harvester operator?
He's graduating, that's all I know, so.
Okay, but we
Right.
can't go like last summer where we went 2 months with no operator. So,
Well, I don't know, maybe you need, I don't
Is it
know, the
confirmed?
village is the one that hires them, right?
all right.
But anyway, I just know that the guy we had last year is graduating from college soon. So doesn't mean he won't do it. I have no information. So on lake erosion, we been in contact with the village administrator. There's some things going on around Shankin. I asked about if anything has been if they've looked at the roadbed. They claim that there's nothing going on with the roadbed erosion there. I am going to circle back with Mike Powell on that, and then I'm going to go ahead. We don't need a motion because it's already budget. We're not spending money, but I'll go ahead and get a scope of work put together, and for them to get a couple bids on what it would take to address the erosion around the Shankin culvert. That doesn't mean we're spending money. That just means we're trying to figure out what it would cost. So that's what I have on lake erosion. Unless anybody has they want to make a change in direction there. That's what I'm going to do. On the lake enforcement issues, and this is, we just obviously had the chief on here. Wasn't kidding about the lit sign guys. I think that those are very, very effective. I have no idea what the budget is for something like that. But
Mike, can
Yes,
I just
ma'am.
interrupt you for a minute? I
You
think
can.
Parks and Rec just put in to get a light up sign put over by Clara Miller.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I heard. I know they're like super expensive, like 50,000 plus.
Oh, come on.
No, seriously, because my friend owned a dance studio, and to get one was like, to get the tiny little one strip was like 20 grand.
Huh.
Yeah, so they are stupid expensive. But I think there's something in the works over at Clara Miller.
Okay. Well, I was watching the council meeting, and I know that when we do go to council with whatever recommendation we have, we need to come with a full package. We can't just come with an idea. So I do think we need to look at the signage at the launch. I think we can address a whole bunch of different issues. I think it needs to be updated. I think there's probably guidance out there somewhere on and best practices somewhere in this state that we can,
Well, maybe the
emulate.
sign company can offer a volume discount if we buy two.
Well, I'll tell you guys,
because I like the idea.
At this digital sign, man, people will pay attention, and I know that nobody reads the signs that are up there now, at least besides me and my wife when we go by to make sure there's actually signs there.
Grant says he intends to run the harvester again.
Good. All right, great. One less change of scenery for us. So not for today's meeting, but I think that we need to kind of come together with a way to address all the various signs at the launch, and obviously whatever we do, we have to coordinate with the village and the DNR. But I think some of that signage could include if we can do something with this Clean Boats, Clean Waters initiative as well, because I just don't think that people are using our wash station the way they should, maybe because they just drive right by and don't realize it's there. So unless anybody has an overarching desire to tackle this tonight, I think that we just need to probably add it to next agenda and come up with a path forward on education and signage when it comes to water and ice safety. And then back to the boaters safety fair, I don't have any problem with us getting involved with that and with Parks and Rec and see what they want to do. I'm not sure why the water board wasn't running to begin with. The safety is within our purview. So, but it could have been just a personality thing. I don't know. But does anybody have any issues with us going after this voter safety fair next year?
Nope.
Not
Great.
me.
I think it's a great, especially to hook it into the 100th anniversary of the village getting a name,
The lake,
the lake.
not the village.
What would they call the lake before the lake?
It was nothing. It was a bunch of ponds and, you know.
That's when it was the 6 different
Right.
ponds. All
Yes.
right.
We're gonna get into this. You guys don't know this, but Paul and I have been talking about working on the history of the lake, and he's actually into that. So we may end up writing up a little something for next year when it comes to the timeline on the lake.
Yeah.
And I have gobs of information on it. All the different things that were left behind from a previous water board member. So
Plus, Mike, Bob Malik, plus
Bob.
I believe, I think it's been dissolved, but the old historical committee has notes and things and records
yes,
that date
yes.
back.
Yeah.
They have a bunch of stuff, and what I would like to do is, and I've talked to Paul about this, is kind of pivot that to be just concentrate on the lake itself. There's a lot of things about the village, but I just want to spin out the lake piece. I think the history of the lake is very interesting. And if you guys don't know, there's literally farmers and sheep and cattle along the shoreline right here where we live. So there was a road that went through the middle of the lake at one time, and when they flooded the area, they had to get a petition to get shut that road down, which was a big problem. But
Right.
the dam was built with horse-drawn equipment. I mean, it's quite a story. So I think that it'd be good for us to document that and work on something. And maybe that ends up on the website as well. But I'm interested, and I know Paul's interested in it. So somewhere down the road, we're going to work on that. So,
Yeah.
Plant control. Next topic is plant control and invasive species. I think we're probably on top of that. Kathy, why did you ask about the chemicals?
Oh, I read some articles from different lakes around Michigan, and certain chemicals were very detrimental to their species, whether it be fish or snails. So I was
Okay.
just curious as to which ones we were using.
All right. I'm hoping that we've already done all that research, but it'd be good to confirm all that.
I think that's what Paul's for.
Yeah.
I know that copper sulfate used to be, unless they've changed the law, could not be applied until after June 15th because of nesting panfish. That the copper sulfate does bad things to the eggs, but they may have they may have a different formulation or some sort of buffer with that now. And I know that from my master's research, the DNR was not going to let us put any copper sulfate till the 15th.
Okay.
Yeah, Higgins Lake banned all copper sulfate from theirs just because it messed up with some snails or something that.
Well, that's why they put it in there. The copper sulfate was used to kill the snails that carry swimmer's itch.
Oh yeah, but for some reason there's an article on their website that now they've banned copper sulfate completely, and I don't know what they're doing now. I didn't get that far into it, but it just made me curious because I've heard complaints about the fishing on our lake over the last 10 years. So,
well, the copper sulfate will not surprisingly also kill off any this is what my research was, is kill off all the other macroinvertebrates, which are the food for the fish, as well as the snails. So that may be why Higgins Lake banned it.
Well, we're using it, right?
I'm not sure if we're using copper sulfate or something called cuprinol or something like that.
All right. Well, Kathy, I'm glad you brought this up. I think we need to look, obviously look into that. And if there's options and there's negative, if we're using copper sulfate and there's negative impact to or potential negative impact, maybe we need to talk to Paul about options when it comes to chemicals. So
Okay.
I'll put that in a note to Paul as well. So I'm already gonna ask him to, I thought I heard that we use the copper sulfate, but maybe it was something else.
I don't remember. I go back to some of the notes that he has.
All right. Next topic is the Huron Valley Watershed Council. How was your journey?
I think they are they're staying at home and not answering emails. I did get an email back from the assistant that they were going to forward the my information onto the people that make that decision, and then I didn't hear anything. So I will once again follow up with this lady. I'll have to follow the find her email again, but
Okay.
I'm working on it.
All right. Nothing else on that, right, Mike?
No, not hopefully soon.
I didn't put any updates to the calendar. I think one of the things that for next meeting, we're probably not going to have a guest speaker, so we can get to some of our other business, if you guys don't mind, although those have all been my ideas. So I would like to table the goals and objectives, and we'll put that to next meeting. Again, I think we need to be thinking about a really long range goals, what the legacy is we're going to leave behind with this lake. I think we need to at least get that in front of ourselves and the community. But I'm not prepared to get into that right now. So, and we have a lot of stuff on our plate as I look through everything we got going on. So, clean boats, clean water. Kathy, how you doing? You got us a grant yet?
Not yet. They're on hold until spring 2021. They're not doing any granting or anything with this yet due to COVID.
So that's this spring?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right in big letters on their website. So
all right.
It was so anyways, there's a couple different, I think there's 4. I got a little sheet printed out from their website. It's all asterisk though in terms of application date by April 1st. But I know it's expensive, and a couple other the one question that there's a couple questions. One I have to figure out is, do we have to collect the water, or can it just go back into the ground? Because some of the videos on their websites at different lakes also show how they collect it. And 2, if there's a maintenance, who would maintain this?
Mm-hmm.
Right? If it's the village, who at the village is physically going to maintain this? And that could be a big problem. The other thing is Michigan State has a portable system that can come out to your lake.
But that doesn't stay, right? That's
I don't know for how long it would stay, but it might be something to do. I'd have to look into it. Everything's very much like not working right yet.
okay. All right.
COVID's still not allowing people to get back up and running.
If there's grants and resources out there for us to improve what we're doing on invasive species, it'd be a good thing for us to get into, obviously. So, but yeah, I know not much is happening at state level on anything, right? So.
Right, and I think we would also need to get the community involved and see how much they would be willing to donate towards the cause as well.
I thought that would be part of the grant thing.
They're not going to grant you the full amount.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, look forward to seeing where that goes, because if there's money to be had, and maybe we can get our hands on a little bit.
Yeah, like they actually will only match like 25 to 50% of the cost.
Okay,
There's 4 different categories. I think we only fall under 2 categories based on our size. Because some of these are for like facilities that have more than 15 slot, parking slots.
Hmm,
One of them's for a place that actually has mooring facilities. So they're based on the size of your lake.
all right,
But we'll keep looking into it and see if anything opens up as the year progresses.
okay. All right. Kind of placeholders under future business, boat count, bird count, 2021 budget. I think, Doug's obviously not here, but I think next month we're gonna really start getting into the budget, so I think that the budget will be probably the main driver of what we're gonna be talking about next month. So we're gonna move on from that. Unless somebody has anything else, I kind of want to get a handle around some signage costs here, at least be able to put something in the budget there going forward. So you got to do a little research, and I know those signs, even the regular signs, are expensive. So, but we'll have to figure that out. Okay. If there's nothing else on future business liaison reports, Bob, what do you got to tell us about the village?
Well, just that we're just plugging along. Now, I'm involved in the negotiating committee. We've had a meeting with the DPW for contracts coming up. And then also the council had a Zoom meeting a week ago on goals for the village. We haven't cast in stone because, as we all know, the coronavirus has put a damper on a lot of things. But, we have goals to finish, change some parking signs near the tennis courts. And these are things that are potential, okay? Some additional parking, possibly paving the last unpaved street in the village, and just trying to maintain what we have going on. And also, we have police contract coming up for negotiation also. Now that we haven't met on yet, but that's right around the corner. And myself, Brian Nedrow and Mark Duff are on that committee. So, but nothing cast in stone at this point.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And it sounds to me like, Paul, you guys actually met.
I was excited. It was a fun thing seeing everybody again. We did do a couple of things. We've put in our annual report, submitted that to the village council, all those things we did last year. We continue to work on our master plan review. Stuff like making sure the zoning complies with what we had in mind. We'll have to rezone some stuff to get the Glengarry Inn in compliance. We did have a petition for a variance that was kind of interesting. Anybody's familiar with the property in South Commerce and Decker, that little wedge there that used to be a medical building to the right? There's been a petition to have that zone so that somebody can put in a gas station, convenience and liquor store there.
Wow.
Yeah. So, there's some.
That really low plus, that really low piece over there, that actually was a pink building at one time.
Yeah, it's a little wedge. There seems to be a bias for wanting to have something there, which is good. I mean, nothing. I'd prefer a coffee and donut shop, but there's some concerns. One is a noise issue for the community there. Right now, there isn't much going on. They should be able to buffer that. I think the greater concern, well, they've also agreed if we move forward, they'll reduce the amount. They had like 4 pumps. They'd reduce that to 3. One of the issues though, that came up is that, I think it's FHA and VA will not loan anybody to a mortgage that is within 300 feet of a property line of a gas station. Not sure why that rule is there, but it would affect about 6 houses on one side, and it would hit the condos directly across the street in Walled Lake. We'd also have to bring Walled Lake in to talk to them about, what that might look like, because they're not, I mean, it's zoned for office space right now. So, but that's what we're looking at. We got neat maps and everything.
Well, as long as you got maps.
I know, big ones too. I'm telling you, it's fold out on the table. Nice engineering drawings. It's going to be a nice looking place if it goes.
Where is this again? I'm sorry.
It's in South Commerce and where South Commerce and Decker meet. If you're driving towards Walled Lake on South Commerce, and you go to turn left on Decker, it's the piece on your right that hasn't been used for anything in a long time.
On the right.
A
It's
number
a
of
five
years
red-
ago,
Oh, by the church there?
I don't think there's a church. No,
There's
isn't
an
it
old
right
gas
next door to
station
the medical?
across the street.
it used to be an old gas station, yes, but then they rezoned it. It became an office building. I think a medical office building.
Oh. Okay. I know
It's
what you're
got just a
talking about.
long awning on the front
Yes.
and a little pink building in the back.
Is that building empty right now? I thought there were.
Yeah.
Okay, I
far
thought
as
there
I
were
know,
still
yeah.
doctors in there. Okay,
So,
lovely.
yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. So any comments from board members?
Yeah.
I like where we're going.
I'll chime in here and apologize for missing the work meeting. I did actually join it, but nobody let me in for about 10 minutes. Of course, I was a half hour late, so that makes sense. I thought it started at 11 or not 11, but at 7 instead of 6. So that was my mistake. But I did want to apologize to the board for missing that.
Well, that's okay. That was a while back, wasn't it?
About 3 weeks ago.
Okay. All right. Anything else? I have a comment. Kathy, you brought this up. I don't know if you brought it up a couple of times, but we certainly have been talking around the fish population changing and the fishing changing in the lake. I think that we probably should figure out how to address that, and if we need to have a look at that and see if that's actually happening. I've always not been a big fan of the fact that the data we have on our fish population is so old. But I think that at the next meeting, I'm going to add fish population to the under new business.
Guess that would be me, the fish guy, right?
If you want to be the fish guy, Mike, I just think that the data is so old, and I know John used to say, well, we'll never get it done again, but maybe we can actually pay somebody to do it for us, because I think that a lot has changed in the world since the last time we had the fish population looked at. And,
Mike, Bob
yes,
Malik here. When Sharon was here, Sharon Miller, the state came in and did a population thing. As a matter of
Yes.
fact, I know I have it on my computer of the types
Right.
of fish, the size.
I think
You know, and
they're
that's-
required to do that every 10 or 20 years.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
ours is 8
yeah,
years
that's-
old now. 8 or more years
Okay.
old, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Then I think we should check with the state and see when and will they do it again?
Yeah, let's put it, I'll put it on new business next month, and we will start getting into it. Maybe we can actually get some folks to come and talk to us about the fishing. I'm sure the people at the bait shop probably know more about this than anybody as far as anything changing, at least in the last 4 years that they've been there. So Think we need to look at it. Don't think it's gonna be, won't cost us any money. And so, I'm gonna add that for new business next month. And that's all I got.
Darn.
Does anybody have a motion to adjourn?
I'll
I
motion.
move we adjourn.
I'll second
And,
that. Do we need a roll call to adjourn?
Sergeant,
Yeah.
Hurst,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Malik,
Yes.
Snyder,
Yes.
Martini.
Yep.
Okay, guys.
All right.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Anna.
much.
See you in a month.
Good night.
Everybody stay safe.
Yeah.